Do you remember watching your mother get ready? The smell of face powder, the sound of a lipstick cap set down on the vanity. 12 minutes. And she looked like that all day. 6 items, most under $1. 20 of those techniques are in this video. Every one validated by science in the 50 years since she stopped using it. Every one replaced anyway, not because something better came along, because something more expensive did. Number 12 gave every woman in America a precise eye for the first time. Number 1 is the daily rule that made every other technique on this list work. Let's get into it. Number 20, cake mascara applied with a brush, then separated with a pin. The mascara of the 1950s was not a wand, it was a small tin. Maybelline was the dominant brand, containing a block of pigmented wax and a stiff bristle brush. Wet the brush, rub it into the cake in circular strokes, apply from root to tip in upward strokes, and hold for 1 second against each lash to encourage a curl. Let dry. Repeat for a second coat, then 2 finishing steps. A straight pin worked between each individual lash to separate them completely. No clumping, each lash distinct. And the tip of the brush used to dot tiny amounts of mascara directly between the lower lash roots, creating the illusion of thicker roots and more lashes without a visible product line. The kit, with a tin, a mirror inside the lid, and a stiff brush, cost approximately $2. No monthly refill, no disposable wand. 3 extra minutes. It is a result that a $38 tubing mascara in 2026 is still trying to replicate. Number 19, cream rouge applied before the powder, not after. The standard in the 1950s was cream rouge, Revlon, Coty, Tussie, applied immediately after foundation, before setting powder. Small dots on the cheekbones blended outward with fingertips. Then powder pressed over everything. This sequence is the opposite of what most women do today. The 1950s order creates a fundamentally different result. The cream rouge sits below the powder layer, which diffuses the color and integrates it with the skin tone beneath, producing a blush that appears to come from inside the face, rather than sitting on its surface. A 2019 review in the Journal of Cosmetic Science confirmed that cream formulations penetrate the uppermost skin layers more effectively than powder, producing more durable skin-integrated color. She had learned the sequence from her mother in 1939. Number 18, setting powder pressed with a puff, then dusted off. Coty Airspun, first introduced in 1934, is still sold today for approximately $14. Its formula nearly unchanged. It is a very fine, aerated, loose powder in a round cardboard container with a velvet puff. To apply, load the puff, press it firmly into the skin in a rolling motion, then remove excess with a large, soft brush. The key word is press, not sweep. Sweeping a loaded puff across the face moves the foundation underneath it. Pressing pins it in place. The 1950s technique is called baking in modern beauty terminology, rediscovered and rebranded as a Korean technique in the 2010s. Vivienne had been doing it since 1952 for 75 cents. The Sisley Paris Phyto Poudre Libre Loose Powder costs $118. Coty Airspun, $14. The physics are identical. I still use it. The smell, faintly talcum, faintly floral, something that has no better name than the right powder, is the thing that makes it impossible to replace with anything newer. Number 17, brown brow pencil. Never pure black. 1950s eyebrows were full, arched, defined, shaped by plucking underneath only, never from the top. The arch sat at the outer third of the brow. A pencil in brown taupe or the softest gray was applied in short, feathery strokes, then brushed through with a comb. The rule was consistent across every beauty guide of the era. Never pure black. Even for jet black hair, pure black reads as drawn on, a line rather than hair. Brown strokes read as real. It is a distinction modern makeup artists still teach, and one that half of YouTube's bold brow tutorials still get wrong. The pencil was 10 cents. Number 16, vanishing cream as primer. Before foundation, she applied vanishing cream. Not a primer. The word didn't exist yet. a thin, fast-absorbing formula made from stearic acid, glycerin, and zinc oxide. It disappeared into the skin on contact. That disappearing act is exactly where the name came from. A light white cream that went on and vanished, leaving the skin smooth, slightly mattified, and ready. Together, stearic acid filled surface irregularities, glycerin drew moisture up, and zinc oxide created a light barrier. Together, they built exactly the surface the foundation needed. Modern Primer does exactly this. Sephora Collection Prime and Set, $20. Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Primer, $45. She preceded them by 30 years for 30 cents. The face is prepped. Now she reaches for the lipstick. The next 4 techniques are about color, how it lasted, how it personalized to each woman, and how she drew a line that defined the decade. Number 12 is almost here. Number 15, powder on lips. Before lipstick. Before applying lipstick, she dusted a light layer of loose powder directly onto her bare lips. The sequence, powder first, then lipstick. The powder gave the pigment something to grip, a slightly mattified surface instead of the natural oils that cause color to slide and fade within the hour. Applied over powder, the lipstick adhered to the lip rather than sitting on a film of surface oil. It was just the loose powder, already on the vanity, used one step earlier than expected. She applied the color over it, and it stayed through the first cup of coffee in a way it otherwise would not have. Number 14, Tangy, the lipstick that read your chemistry. Tangy appeared bright orange in the tube. On the lips, it reacted with each wearer's pH and skin chemistry to produce a personalized red or pink, different on every woman, and impossible to predict until it was on. The chemistry is real. Tangy used dyes that bonded to proteins on the lip surface rather than sitting as surface pigment, producing a stain that varied based on each wearer's chemical environment. No 2 women wore the same color from the same tube. pH-reactive dye pigments personalizing to each user are now marketed as proprietary innovation in Premium Your Lips, but better formulas, $45 to $65 per tube. Tangy cost approximately $1 at Woolworth's, the same chemistry, the same trick, 60 years earlier. Number 13, the 2-coat method that made lipstick last. In the 1950s, application was never 1 coat. The first coat was applied with a lip brush or from the bullet, and the lips were pressed together briefly. A single facial tissue, held between the pressed lips and pulled away slowly, removed the wax layer while leaving the pigment bonded to the lip. The second coat was applied over the cleaned, primed surface. This was the household version of what Hazel Bishop built into her first long-wearing lipstick in 1950. Bishop was a chemist, not a marketer. The result lasted through meals. Her tagline was, "It stays on you, not on him." Chemistry stated plainly. Bishop's sales went from $49,527 in 1950 to $10.1 million in 1953. Number 12, the cat eye and the liquid liner that made it possible. Max Factor introduced the first commercial liquid eyeliner in 1950. With it came the defining eye look of the decade, a thin line drawn as close to the upper lash line as possible, thickening gradually toward the outer corner, then lifted into a short upward flick extending just past the lid. Marilyn Monroe's was soft and slightly imprecise. Audrey Hepburn's was graphic and exact. Elizabeth Taylor's was bold and extended past the lid. Same $1 product, 3 entirely different results. Between 1968 and 1978, the medicine cabinet changed. Clinique launched at Saks Fifth Avenue in 1968 as the world's first dermatologist-driven cosmetic line. Women in white lab coats at clinical white counters. The message was understood without being stated. Your grandmother's Pond's routine was not scientific. Science had 3 steps, purchased separately. What Clinique dismantled was not a routine. It was an architecture. Each step created conditions for the next. Cold cream removed without stripping. Vanishing cream prepared the surface. Foundation set quickly on a surface that was ready. Powder pinned it in place. Each technique left the face better than it found it, ready for what came next. Clinique sold replacements. What it replaced was a system. Number 11, red lipstick under the eyes. Before foundation, she opened the same lipstick she wore on her mouth and worked a small amount directly beneath each eye with her fingertip. The color looked wrong before it was blended. After 30 seconds of working it into the skin, it was invisible, and so were the dark circles that had been there a moment before. The mechanism: dark circles are caused by blue-purple blood vessels visible through thin periorbital skin. Red pigment sits opposite on the color wheel and cancels them out. The modern color-correcting industry built an entire product category around this. She was doing it with the lipstick already in her hand. Number 10, white pencil on the lower waterline. A white or cream pencil produced by Rimmel throughout the 1950s was applied to the lower waterline before any other eye makeup. One stroke, pressed gently along the inner rim of the lower lid. The effect is immediate. The visible pink-red of the waterline disappears, replaced by white, which reads as the natural white of the eye extending further. The eye appears larger, more open, and on the mornings when she had not slept well, significantly more awake. It takes 4 seconds. The technique appears in every professional makeup kit today. Charlotte Tilbury, Rockin' Kohl in Nude Pink, $28. Her Rimmel pencil in the 1950s, approximately 15 cents. Number 9, castor oil on lashes and brows every night. A small glass bottle from the pharmacy, a single drop on a clean brush, worked through the lashes from root to tip, then combed through the brows, the last step before the light went out. She did not know the mechanism. She knew that the women who skipped this step had lashes that broke. She did not. The mechanism: castor oil is approximately 90% ricinoleic acid, thick, occlusive, with confirmed anti-inflammatory properties. It coats the lash shaft the way a sealed envelope keeps moisture in. A 2019 study in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology confirmed it significantly reduces protein loss in structurally compromised hair fibers, which matters because mascara removal, done nightly for decades, is structurally compromising. Whether it produces new growth is still debated. What it does is protect what is already there. A bottle in 1955 cost 50 cents. Number 8. Vaseline over lipstick for evening shine. A single fingertip amount of Vaseline, 30 cents a jar in 1955, pressed lightly over a set lipstick for evening. High shine, no feathering at the lip border, and the lipstick underneath stayed in place. Petroleum jelly forms a film over the lipstick surface, creating shine and preventing the oil migration that causes color to feather into fine lines above the lip border. This is the precise mechanism of commercial lip gloss. Charlotte Tilbury Lip Luster Gloss, $34. Her jar of Vaseline, 30 cents. Number 7. The eyelash curler used in 3 positions. The Curlash, the original eyelash curler designed in 1923 and standard equipment in every 1950s dressing room, was used in a sequence she had been taught at the beauty counter, not clamped once at the base and held. 3 positions. At the root for 10 seconds, at the middle of the lash for 10 seconds, at the tip to finish the curve. 3 positions produce a graduated curl that follows the natural arc of the lash, lifting from the root, curving through the middle, finishing at the tip. 1 clamp at the root alone produces a sharp right-angle bend, the difference between curled and crimped. The Curlash cost $1. The Shiseido eyelash curler, that professional makeup artists still describe as irreplaceable, cost $22. Same mechanism, same 3 positions, 70 years apart. That covers the eye. The liner, the curl, the conditioning, 7 techniques left. The next one is the decision that determined whether everything on this list worked or disappeared by noon. Number 6, 1 feature. Everything else in service of it. The 1950s makeup philosophy was built on hierarchy. 1 feature was the focus. Everything else was quiet. For most women, that feature was the mouth. Fire and ice, cherries in the snow, love that red, applied in full opacity with a brush precisely lined. Eyes, clean, lashed, a neat cat eye at most. Brows, defined and natural. Cheeks, enough color to read as alive. The mouth, everything. Research on facial attractiveness consistently demonstrates that the face reads as more striking when a single feature commands attention rather than multiple competing ones. When everything is emphasized, nothing is. She picked up fire and ice and applied it precisely. Number 5, petroleum jelly on the lids, not under the eyes, on them. A fingertip amount of Vaseline pressed across the upper lid, from the inner corner to just past the crease, before going out for the evening. No powder over it, just the thin, reflective film it left behind. The effect is a luminous, glazed lid that catches light the way no eyeshadow does. Marilyn Monroe used this. So did Ava Gardner. Photographers called it the wet eye. Beauty editors in 2023 called it glazed lids and declared it the defining look of the decade. Same jar, same 30 cents. 70 years later, still the best version of the technique. Number 4, Max Factor. Pancake applied with a damp sponge. Max Factor's Pancake, developed for Technicolor film and dominant through the entire 1950s, was a water-activated cake foundation applied with a damp sponge in light, even strokes. Water mixed with the formula on the sponge surface, creating a thin, controllable layer that could be built from sheer to full coverage simply by increasing passes. The water-activated formula set quickly, did not oxidize the way oil-based foundations did, and matched the skin's natural pH. Pancake was the best-selling makeup product in America for most of the 1950s. A compact cost $1.25. Combined with Coty Airspun at 75 cents, the finished 1950s face cost $2. No primer, no setting spray, no 10-step routine. Number 3, Pond's Cold Cream, the double cleanse before it had a name. A generous scoop applied to dry skin, worked in with upward circles for 60 seconds while it dissolved the day's makeup, foundation, mascara, lipstick, then removed with soft tissues, followed by a cool water rinse. She had no name for what she was doing. The phrase had not been invented yet. What she was doing is now called the double cleanse, oil-based first step, water-based second. The consensus method for thorough removal without stripping the acid mantle. Consensus reached in the 2010s. She had been doing it since 1951. Cold cream cost 60 cents. Clinique split the same function into 3 products in 1968 and charged separately for each. Number 2, she never stopped at the chin. Her mother had told her once, in the bathroom they shared in a house in Indiana, that the neck tells your age before your face does. Vivian had not questioned it. The cold cream that came off her face continued down, upward strokes against gravity, the way her mother had shown her, working the angle of the jaw, the full length of the throat, the base of the neck where it met the collarbone. The same 60 seconds, the same soft tissues, the same cool water rinse. The neck has fewer sebaceous glands, thinner dermis, less natural oil, the same sun exposure as the face, and a fraction of the attention. Signs show up there first, years before the face shows anything. The modern answer to this is a targeted neck cream, Estee Lauder. Advanced Night Repair Neck and Décolletage, $89. La Prairie Skin Caviar Neck Cream, $390. The active mechanism in both is an occlusive base and a humectant. She was already providing both for 60 cents with her hands every night. Don't stop at the chin. She never did. Every item on this list was something she put on her face. Cake mascara on a stiff brush, cold cream on her fingertips, a curl at the root, the middle, the tip, red lipstick applied twice. Number 1 is not something she applied. It is the reason every technique on this list worked, and the reason it cannot be bottled, branded, or sold on a subscription. Number 1. She finished her face every day. She did not wait to feel like it. That is the part nobody sells. There was no motivation ritual before the vanity, no algorithm to tell her which step came first. She sat down and she finished her face, because that was what mornings were for. The 12 minutes belonged to her before they belonged to anyone else. What every technique on this list required was this: a woman who showed up for it every day. The cold cream only works on the nights you use it. The castor oil only protects lashes it is applied to, not the days you feel like it, every day. She did not think of this as discipline. It was not a habit she was protecting or a streak she was building. It was simply who she was. And that, more than any of the $6 worth of products on her shelf, is what made her face look the way it did. The beauty industry has never found a way to charge for that, so they sell you something else instead. $6, 12 minutes. Everything on this list fit in one bathroom drawer and cost less than a single tube of mascara today. If your mother had a vanity, tell me what was on it. I want to know. Subscribe and hit the bell. Everything on this channel is free. It always will be. I'll see you in the next one.